All right, we'll call the meeting to order. It is 7:01 p.m. Welcome to the April edition of our Columbia Board of Education meeting. Kimberly, can you go roll call, please?
Adam Henkin.
Here.
Tammy Hines is absent today. Andrea Corey. Here. Greg Meyer.
Here.
Scott Middlecamp.
Here.
Lisa Schumacher. Here. Tyson Search.
Here.
Perfect. Everybody stand with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Perfect, thank you. All right, welcome to our visitor, singular tonight, so, and everybody else joined in at home. Do we have any public comments? All right, perfect.
Okay. Usually I'm sitting behind the camera, so.
That's right. A little glimpse behind the scenes tonight.
Yeah, let me adjust this real quick. So,
I guess you can see me. My name is Taylor Dickerson. I teach German at the high school and at the middle school. Just wanted to say in public comments tonight that our German exchange program is currently ongoing. They just arrived last Friday. I just wanted to make sure to recognize my colleague, my German colleague, Andreas Heuser. This is his 30th anniversary of doing our GAP student exchanges. So this is his 16th visit to Columbia. We did some math the other day. Our exchange, we've had almost 550 students go back and forth throughout our 30 years in our exchange. So it's a great program to be a part of, something I'm really very proud of that we have here at Columbia. And I just wanted to recognize that it was going on. You might see them out in the community the next 3 weeks. They'll be here until May 7th. So be sure to say hi if you see them anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Say hello.
Say hello.
Yates.
Mm-hmm.
Well, nice to start off some good news there, so perfect. And correspondence is going around, I believe. We'll run right into our consent agenda. Mr.
All
Craig,
right,
walk
well,
us through.
You've got your minutes and the reports and things of that nature. We've got resignations. Ms. Bedard is resigning from the softball coaching positions as she takes over the administrative positions for next year. We've got under employment of certified personnel, Sherry Daniel has rescinded her name. She's had some family issues, and so she's not going to be hired by us. She's going to stay where she's at. We also have a math teacher at the middle school that I'd like to get added. Marla Fisher is her name. Under leaves, we've got Samantha Kendall, and we'd like to add Christian Avis Rouse to that. He's going to take 2 weeks at the beginning of next school year. It's a paternity. We're all excited for him. Under extracurricular, we've got Annie Dent there, who's going to be our drama for the middle school and the high school. She's got experience working with the kids, and so we're very excited about that. We're going to add Lindsay Warenberg and Savannah Hunzacker to volleyball, freshman volleyball. They're going to split that stipend. I believe, were sent the extended school year. That's going to be June 5th to the 23rd. It's going to be 3 weeks. And then we've got our postings. We've posted for a middle school language arts teacher, and that's because Miss Simmons, Laura Simmons, is going to be moving over into the social studies position that we've got vacant. And then we've got the 7th grade and girls softball coach, which was where Mrs. Bedard left. And then we've got our summer workers that we do every year. And so we will bring the names as they come, but we're just asking permission to post those. Oftentimes we don't fill them because we don't get enough applicants. So if people are looking for summer jobs, they should apply. With that said, administration recommends that you approve the consent agenda as presented.
And just to clarify, the calendar move is later in the action items. This is for the approval of staffing for the extended school year.
Yes, did I say something about calendar?
Yeah.
What did I say?
About extended school year calendar, so.
Oh, that's for,
The staffing.
the staffing of the
For
things.
extended.
And yeah, it's 3 weeks in
Yep.
the summer.
Yep, perfect.
Sorry.
And also, since there's been so many additions and all that, since you sent out your superintendent's report,
Yeah.
can you follow up with just a quick email to us, giving us
I could do that.
all of those names again,
Yeah.
please? Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tyson. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Scott seconds. A roll call, please.
Adam Pumpkin.
Yes.
Andrea Corey.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Tyson Search.
Yes.
Unanimous. Move on to our communications report and presentation. The enrollment report is in your packet. Insignificant that I saw. And we'll start with our administrative reports and our building report.
Hello, Erica Vinny from Eagleview here with Amy Freeze. Can't believe the last time I was here was the beginning of the school year. The time has flown. And so I'm pleased to share several pictures up here. I'm not going to walk through them all, but overarching themes for this year have really been school readiness. And these are our youngest students in the Columbia School District, early childhood, pre-K, K, and 1. And it's all been about getting ready for school and learning how to do school, learning how to be together in groups together, and their own individual trajectories of learning and growth. Community building. Community has been huge at our school, and we're so thrilled to be able to welcome lots of families back into our buildings. So we've had breakfast with buddies recently, which you'll see down on the bottom. To the right, the pictures to the right are our kindergarten school musical, which I'll reference in just a moment. The top left, or top two pictures are, we had an epic book tournament for March Madness at our schools. That was the kickoff with several teachers put themselves out there running layups, the children cheering them on and presenting different books, and then we had a tournament style breakdown, and the families really got into that as well. We can go to the next slide. And then here is great examples of the learning that's been taking place in our schools at all ages. What I love about Eagleview is that we approach a holistic view of our children. And so they're learning through all these different pieces, but it's multisensory, and we're meeting each child where we are. We've done a lot with differentiation this year, and every student growing, regardless of where they start. These are our COVID babies, as we call them. You know, they weren't necessarily conceived and born during COVID, but they're the ones that, they were 2, 3, their immunities, their readiness should have been developing then, and there was, somewhat delayed with that, as we see from lots of illnesses. Eagleview's a beautiful place, but it's a germy place, so we always have lots of hand sanitizer on hand. And then talking about our kindergarten musical, which the last performance is going on right now, is called Get Hoppin', and it's basically a story of some bunnies that are expected to hop. Why don't you hop? Bunnies hop. And they all have different interests, they all approach things in their different ways, and I was telling Mr. Grody and Alyssa that it's kind of an allegory for school. Everyone has these ideas or expectations of children as they come in, but they all have their own paths, and they all grow in their own time, but they do grow. And that's what we've seen at Eagleview this year.
Okay, so I've asked every group of teachers at school for a little breakdown. So I teach early childhood, so the pre-K and early childhood, we have done a lot of Easter egg activities. We've dyed eggs, we did some fun activities, holding eggs on spoons, walking. We had Easter egg hunts as well. The pre-K registration for our classes opened, on January 4th. On the day registration opened, we had one class completely full, so that's 20 students. And then they opened it to the public, and then 30 spots were filled, and so all of them pretty much were filled by January 6th. So in 6 days, or in just 2 days, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have a wait list of about 6 or 7 still, I think.
Right. And tomorrow is our ACE Olympics at the high school. Hopefully the rain holds off. That's for all of our special education students, and so that'll be a fun time for myself and the other early childhood teacher and all of our students. Kindergarten did an Easter egg hunt as well in the gym. They did it for good character. They have their kindergarten musicals, as Mrs. Vinay just said. And at the end of the year, they have a kindergarten celebration, which is where they sing songs again, parents come in, and it's actually really cute. I've watched it several times, if they do something similar.
They are.
So it is very, very cute. First grade, one of the teachers is hatching chickens from the eggs, and another teacher is hatching duck eggs.
We're up to about 17 chicks right now, in case everyone's wondering. And we had an explosion of births yesterday that we were pretty excited about.
And then we're, all the first graders are watching caterpillars' life cycles and how they change into butterflies. One of the teachers' class wrote and has published a class book about themselves. They were very excited to get the books in the mail. and take their turn reading their page to their class before each copy getting a copy to take home to families. In the speech department, they're working on spring speech activities and are excited about the East Olympics as well tomorrow because they participate in that. Mr. Miller and PE, a field day is always at the end of the year. That's always a fun, culmination of the school year. I think one of the favorite stations that the kids enjoy is the water brigade, where they carry the water and everybody gets soaked. And so that's a fun thing that they're going to be doing here soon. Music is doing the Get Hoppin'. Mrs. Hughes said kindergarten is doing the Get Hoppin' musicals. Each student had their very own part, and they sing, and she said kindergarten did a fabulous job. First grade with music is they're finishing up their 5 families of instruments. The students played, experimented, and created various instruments individually, such as the harp, auto harp, the keyboard, the glockenspiels, I don't know what that is.
Little bells.
Okay, and many, many percussion instruments. So lots of things going on at Eagleview, lots of fun things, like Mrs. Venny says, we're doing the hands-on, the moving, you have to move every once in a while for sure. It's been a great year, it's been fast.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. We still have a month to go.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to our assistant superintendent report. Alyssa?
So I have some shout outs. I'm going to start with, at the high school, I want to give a shout out to Missy Steve, one of our math teachers. I just happened to be in her room the other day as I was walking around doing some observations. And it was interesting to sit and watch, right? A lot of things kids are like, why do I have to learn this? And she was not only really good about pointing out, here's why you're going to need this math, but also taking the math vocabulary and relating it to what they do. The lesson she was doing that day, they were talking about like midpoints and medians, and she started relating it to when you drive, what's that section in the middle of the road called? And they were like, oh, and she was like, why is it there? They're like, oh, because it's in the middle of so it was just fun to see her take it and adapt it to what they would understand and they're used to, which is important, especially when you're in high school and you aren't sure you really want to be sitting in math class. At the middle school, I want to point out Joe Birch. He's actually one of our shared staff members at the middle school and high school, but he not only does a great job drumming up that excitement about our ag program, but he actually had his biotech students giving presentations in middle school the other day. And the cool thing was not only did they do their presentation, but at the end of it, the class was asking the presenters questions and they were giving their answers and feedback. So it really wasn't just that I prepared and memorized my presentation. They had to really know their content, which is just that extra step of critical thinking and mastery of their learning. At Parkview, I have on there Carla Wantock. We are looking at how can we improve our phonics instruction going into next year. And like Erica said, we're getting these kiddos at this age where a lot of that they would have been in school, and these kiddos were trying to learn those basic phonics instructions online, which is extremely difficult to do. So we've been looking at how to do that. So we have several teachers, I told you before, going to the Orton Gillingham training to get some ideas this summer. But Carla actually stepped up with a phonics program that we had and got shoved to the side for whatever reason and wasn't used, and she's trying that out and piloting in her room right now so that we have another piece of data to compare and to pull the best parts of what we need for our kids in Columbia. And then at Eagleview, the middle picture there is one of our cafeteria workers, Suzanne Garlick, who is always willing to help. She is always, she came in early for breakfast with buddies to make sure that we had everything set up and ready to go. She has a smile on her face when the kids come through the line, and she just is a great addition at the school. I will say this month I've gone over, so I'll keep the other part of my presentation short. I have a few other shout outs I want to give. So the top picture there is one of our bus drivers, Diana Thomas Scarlett. Mr. Grody actually had some parents that called him, and a lot of times when we get the calls up here in this office, it's because something is going wrong. But we actually had some parents reach out and go on and on about how she not only obviously is a great bus driver and keeps our kids safe, but she knows her kids. She's built relationships with their kids, and because of that, they feel so much safer about sending their kids off to school all the time. So that is fantastic. In the middle there is our very own Taylor Nickerson again. So I just think, Taylor not only has done a great job with this German exchange program. We were, even when Mr. Grody and I went over to meet the exchange students the other morning, and Taylor was presenting, we got to speak to Andreas and his wife, and they were telling us about how Taylor has it all covered and figured out, and he's even thought about this and that. And I'm sure part of that comes from the experience of doing it for multiple years, but it just is awesome to see that he's got it so smooth, not only for those students, but also for all of our teachers, to be able to have those students around. So the other thing that I really appreciate him for is we at district office were getting very concerned about the future of the German program, because we didn't have a German A class this year. We didn't have any 7th graders in German. And we have been, Taylor went down, is actually teaching at the middle school this year and drumming up quite a large following of students interested in taking German. And so not only is that great for our program, but I think that also speaks to Taylor and his teaching abilities to be able to get kids interested and want to join in and do that. So we very much appreciate him for that. And then the last picture is Abby Mueller, our transportation secretary. So we have a student at Eagleview that is just very nervous and apprehensive about the bus. And there's a couple situations coming up that he'll need to be riding on the bus, and he and mom both were very nervous, and Abby has gone above and beyond to come over. She brought the bus over, she worked with him and mom to get him on the bus and do some practicing. And so I was told that that's not the first time that she's done things like that, that she will just go above and beyond to do whatever is necessary for our kids. So cannot say enough about how lucky we are to have her in our district now. My only other two things, like Amy said, Ace Olympics are tomorrow, so Jean had asked if I would extend an invitation to all of you. It starts at 9:15 with some of our very own students singing the national anthem. So it's from 9:15 to 11:30, so if you have time tomorrow and you want to stop by, she said they love to see the stands getting filled up with people to cheer all the kids on. And then stargazing that April talked about, or I'm sorry, that Amber talked about when she was here last month in April. The weather canceled that date out, so our stargazing actually moved till next Friday on the 28th. Still at 7:30 p.m. and still at the Salt Lake Point Land and Water Reserve, but it got moved. So if that fits into your schedule too, I just wanted to share that out as well. And it's just the end of the year craziness, so.
Just the your craziness. Yes, sir. My turn? Your turn. All right. Votes should be in tomorrow. They have canvassed the votes. We did not have a contested election, so we know exactly who they are, but the point being that you've got 40 days from the election, not from the canvass of the votes, but from the election. And so we've got to have a special meeting by May 15th to seat our new people. I asked you all to bring your calendars. I believe the week of May 8th is when most people will be back. No? Yes? Wednesday the 10th, does that seem to work for everyone?
Does for me.
It
Does
does?
for me.
That was easy.
Good deal.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, well, there will be time that day.
Mhm.
I would assume 7 o'clock,
7.
unless you want to do 6 o'clock.
Well, is
or-
that, is Tammy okay with that date?
Yes.
She is?
Yes.
So 7 p.m.?
7 p.m. on Wednesday, May 10th.
7 p.m., Wednesday, May 10th, we will have our special meeting and we'll get that posted. We also received from the CEA, as summer approaches, our demand to bargain. We, when I first got here in 2020, we negotiated a 3-year contract. We're gonna need to get back and negotiate because this is the end of that 3-year contract. I have talked to some people. I believe Mrs. Schumacher is going to be taking the lead on that one, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Search said that he would be more than willing to step in as well. So if there's no concerns, comments, complaints, speak now or forever hold your peace. But they'll be updating you in our closed sessions as we go with that. And it is the end of the year. Today, I have to do a shout out to the high school. There was a fire in the dumpster. And we watched the videotape, and there's no real clear how it got started. You did see people throwing stuff into the dumpster and things of that nature, but Trent Mahaffey drove as he was going from the high school to another location. He's our technology person. He saw the smoke and he stopped and he called 911 instantly, and then he alerted the office, and everybody watched the fire in the dumpster, which was not near the building. So we didn't empty the building because it was safe. The police, not the police, but the fire department got here quickly, put it out quickly. They beat me from here to the high school. They beat me. They got notified first, though. They also had their sirens on, and my car went the speed limit.
Not that it's a race, but you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was just really neat to see how everything ran so smoothly, and they did it all perfectly. And when it was all done, you know, we said to the firemen, you know, we really felt like emptying the building would have been silly. And they're like, yeah, no, I mean, yeah. So, but yeah, I would have to say that was my first dumpster fire ever. And
Literal dumpster.
right, literally. So yeah, it's the summer's approaching, the school year's going, and when you deal with these situations, it's great to know that things go on. You know, you've got your German guests here, and you've got a dumpster fire outside. It's wonderful when you can rest at ease knowing that the people that are taking care of the children are doing exactly what they need to do when they need to do it, and it's a good thing. So with that, we will go into closed session. We've got no actions, but there's a couple of things I do want to update you all on. And with that, I'm done with the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. Move right on to our items for action. The first one is the approval of the consolidated district plan.
Yeah, this is one of those big documents. They've consolidated all of the extra information for grants into one plan. They did that, I think, 5 to 10 years ago. We do it every year. You guys approve it every year. They come back with something that they want us to change every year. It's always in a different area. It's always what was approved last year, but we'll change the wording, and that'll allow us to get our grants. So administration strongly recommends that you approve this procedure so that we can get our state and federal grants.
We like grants.
We do like grants.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the consolidated district plan?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Lisa. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Andrew seconds. Roll call, please.
Andrew Corey?
Yes.
Greg Meyer?
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp?
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher?
Yes.
Tyson Search?
Yes.
Adam Hunkin?
Unanimous? All right. Next item is the approval of our amended 2022-2023 school calendar.
Yep, this is that time of the year where we look at our school year. We say that we had 2 snow days. And with that, our last day will be May 23rd. It will be a half day. It's a Tuesday. We recommend that you approve that calendar with those 2 days as presented.
Perfect. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, anybody like to make a motion to approve the amended calendar?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Adam. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Tyson seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Yes on that one. All right. Item C is the approval of the land lease for the Columbia Agri-Science Association.
Yeah, in your package, you guys had the last lease that we had with them. It was for 7 years. It's for the 73.5 acres that we have in St. Clair County. Our Agri-Science Association, they farm that land. They sell the produce or the crops, thank you. And they pay us for the use of that land. This is they came to me, they would like to see the lease extended. This one would have taken us to 2025. So what they're asking for would be a 10-year lease, so that'd be 2023 to 2033. This one that we did previously was for 7 years. It's a discussion item. I'd like to approve something, but I want to know what you would like to see approved.
Yeah, I think 10 years is good. I'll just give you a little bit of background. When folks talk about going to the conference, the school board conference, you know, what do you bring back and things like that, and I was talking to some folks from Taylorville that did this with their FFA program, and we had previously leased this to a farmer that, you know, took that as proceeds and things like that. So we approached the Columbia Agri-Science Association, came back here and said, you know, what about we, and one of the farmers that was farming is in the Agri-Science Association. What would you think about farming the land and having the proceeds of those crops go to the FFA program? And so that's one thing that, you know, you didn't really hammer home, but the proceeds coming out of this goes to the Columbia Agri-Science Association, which actually helps fund or is a major benefactor for our FFA program. So we brought that back as an idea, and then worked with Roger Schaefer and those folks and spun this up. That was back when, right after FFA was reconstituted after about 20 years. And as you all know, our FFA program, our agri-science program, has really taken off. You know, this is a somewhat of a farming community, but not a huge farming community. We're a suburb of St. Louis, basically, but you know, it's FFA and agri-science isn't all about plows and sows anymore. It's about biotech. You were talking about biotech earlier. You know, you go across the river, Bear Agri-Science. There's a lot of other biotech hub here in St. Louis. So I think we go with 10 years with these same terms, and keep supporting our FFA.
I got a little bit different take on it. I 100% agree with you. Supporting the FFA is very important, and I think we should be all in on it. However, I guess my reservation on it is the land was originally purchased for school expansion, and I just have a little issue tying it up for a full 10 years. I mean, most land leases are 5 around here. We can always renew it. I don't have any plans to kick them out, but should our district just take off and start growing, I'd hate to, and we need this land, I'd hate to be without it for a full 10 years. I fully support the FFA, and I think if that happened, I think we could purchase some additional land that they could farm, so we wouldn't take it away from them, but I just hate to tie our hands when we may need land in the future. And 10 years is a long time to see what the district goals are and what could change in that amount of time.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on that too. I mean, I'm more aligned, I guess, with where Greg's at as far as, you know, just I've have crop or, you know, land leases myself, and, you know, 5 is pretty much the standard that I've been accustomed to. I did see that, you know, the prices set back in, you know, 2018 were basically $150 an acre. I think that's a good deal for the FFA, for the agri-science program. Fully acknowledging that that's, you know, probably not full market rate, but I'm fully supportive of doing it at a rate that is favorable to the ag program. So just a couple thoughts there, but so my inclination would be to go to a 5-year with the same terms as far as year to year, you know, the standard terms of, you know, it would be year to year after 5 years, you know, if no action is taken, just like it's written currently. But I would be leaning towards 5 years at the existing rate.
And in 5 years, the board then could do another 5 years if they wanted to. And, I mean, but that covers enough time for chemicals and improvements in the soil content, that sort of thing. So,
what was the thought process behind upping it from 7 to 10?
I don't know.
Don't know. Okay.
Do you know why it was 7 years the last time?
No.
I mean, and they're doing it at the 5-year mark, which I think is pretty standard. You know, that they review their leases every 5 years and or renew. I mean, that's right now we're at the 5-year mark. So.
Does someone want to make a motion then for, are we doing 5 or 10 or?
I'll make a motion that we do 5 years at the existing rate.
Okay.
So the only change to what's written is, would be a 5-year.
5-year terms of the town. Okay. All right, have a motion on the floor. Would anybody like to second it?
Anybody want to second that? We need clarification then, so that 5 years would start on when? December 2nd, 2025, at the end of this lease?
That would be how it would have to be.
Right. Okay. So then it would go to December, or to December 1st of.
So basically almost a 7-year deal
2030.
again, so.
30.
Okay.
Everybody good with
So
that?
if I understand that correctly, you're saying this would start at December 1, 2025, when this is over, and it'd be a 5-year extension
And go to
at that
30.
Yep.
point?
Go to
Got it.
2030.
Yeah. Just
You
so
okay with that, or
everybody-
do you want to make it 5 from now?
Well, I mean, I think if this board is approving, I think we'd want to do it starting when this board's in place. But I don't have an objection either way. So I guess that's another point for discussion. It's a good clarification item because they're bringing it to us now out of cycle. It's not 2025 to be renewed, so,
Mhm.
I mean, my first inclination was to make it effective in 2023. It's be 5 years from now, but I
Then-
don't have an opposition either way.
And in that case, then, this may have been why we did it 7, right? So,
Well, you know what, though, I
And they're bringing it to us because it has to be,
think
Far-
they
far
want to
enough
do
in
some
advance,
nitrogen.
right?
Well, they want to put nitrogen and
okay.
revamp the soil, but,
is that what they were saying? They wanted to
They-
apply soil
They
amendments?
came to me that they were gonna put
Do soil amendments?
Soil
and-
amendments into
Right.
the land, and so they were looking for the 10 years, I guess, is why they
But you
were looking
guys
at it from that.
have a
So-
very valid point. I don't know if this board can approve a lease that far in the future.
So what I would say then is if we're starting it for this December,
December 1, 2024.
December 20, what?
December 1, 2023.
December 1, 2023 to December 1, 2030. That would be a 5-year extension. Correct?
So it'd basically be a 7-year contract.
To the
Correct.
existing
7,
term, but
to the existing
from now it'd be
7.
7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Say that again. So it'd be December 1, 2023 till December 1 what?
It'd be a 7-year
2030.
contract.
It'd be a
2030
7-year,
is
it'd be a
still
7-year
7
lease. Because then this 7-year lease would be null and void after the 1st of December this year. Right? It would take the place of this.
It would take the
Well,
place of this.
Yeah.
Except that doesn't actually comply with this because it says the termination has to be 12 months before
Right.
termination or any renewal. We have to do it 12 months in advance. So we'd have to make it effective
No.
eventually May 1st.
No. It says, and this lease shall continue in effect from year to year thereafter until written notice of the termination is given by either party to either
Which
at
number are
least
you
12
on?
months.
For expiration of his lease or any renewal.
Yeah, it's-
What number is he on?
That's number 10.
It's
Number
I
10.
think that's that's referring to the year-to-year portion, the 12 months.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay, you're right.
I'm
Like
not
I
a
said, at
lawyer,
least
but I
12
put them
months
on TV.
before expiration of this lease.
Yeah, and I don't think they're gonna have an objection
No.
to us renewing or extending early.
Yeah. And that would I think that would give them the assurance of what they were looking for, is if they're gonna dump some money into it for soil amendments now and things like that, they can reap some of that reward.
Yeah, they wanna realize their investment.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you guys say is December 1, 2023 to December 1, 2030, which would be a 7-year lease, starting in this year.
But then that really defeats the purpose of wanting it only 5 years,
Right.
if you're wanting to change it to 5 years.
I think 7's too long, but it's, like, again.
Well,
that's me,
and if that's the case, then
Why don't we just?
I would say table this until,
Right.
till later.
Yeah.
Until after the seating of the board?
No,
And have a
no,
conversation
until,
with them.
I mean, this isn't even close to being,
Yeah, table it till, it's not even
being,
due until
expired.
2025.
Right.
The current lease is not due till 2025.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, they want to bring it up early now so they can dump money into it.
Right.
And know that in 2 years it's not going to expire, and then them have
Right.
invested a lot into the soil.
Right.
So I guess I would probably propose, we table it, talk to the ag science, to the leasees, and tell them what our intent is, and then bring it back to the board next month.
Okay.
And I'd be more comfortable with that also because the next board's is gonna be in place when this renews, where I'm not so sure we have the authority to extend, but.
I will
Timing is strange.
schedule a meeting with Mr. Schaefer. He's the one that
yep.
Okay.
I've worked with before on this, so I will call him tomorrow.
Sounds good.
All right.
So did we have a first and second?
There was never a
no.
second on that.
We
Okay,
had a-
so it
we had a
died.
first, but no
It
second,
It
so it
died, so it died for lack of second.
Exactly.
So we don't have to table it.
All right.
Exactly. All right, we'll go on to item D, which is the approval of our service agreement with ATI Physical Therapy.
Yeah, and this is a yearly agreement. This is a cost for the athletic training. They do the taping and the working with the students, and then they're at the games. The contract's there. The recommendation is to pass this. It's at that cost. We would not be able to hire our own athletic trainer, so.
My only comment about this is when I looked at this contract in Schedule A, I was excited to see points A through D because I've never been familiar with the coordination of a sports medicine program at the school. And if that's the case and that's part of their contract, I'd like to see them do that. I think there's a ton of kids that would be very interested in the sports medicine program. Having kids that have in high school and have just gone through high school, I know that the trainers are there, they assist with injuries, they assist with rehab, they're excellent, but this whole part of their contract, A through D, that talks about sports medicine being a program at the school that they're assisting with, I would like to see them do that, actually.
So when you read that sports medicine, you're talking about a class that would be,
Something. I mean, if you look at Schedule A, the services that they're contracted to provide, it's assistance in the coordination of the sports medicine program at the school. We don't have a sports medicine program at the school.
I think what they mean is the program to support the sports, the athletics, and any medicines that they might need. So what they do is they advise us on the gauze that we're supposed to have and the trainings and stuff, and then they work with the doctors. I get what you're.
Does it specify education?
Well, C does specify a student sports medicine program.
I mean, I read
So-
A through D and differently, so.
I'm with Andrea on this one. I think there's some services that
Just,
either need clarified or lack. or
I would
not
say,
covered.
I would say get clarification, because I read it as the sports medicine program for the students who are the athletes, not,
I read the
not
rest
an
of-
education.
I read the rest of Schedule A, E through H that way, but I don't read the first that way. And if it's something that we're contracting and paying them for, then I think there would be interest in it. I'd certainly like to see them follow through on that.
Okay. I've seen ATI in a lot of districts, and I don't think any of them have what you're talking about.
I don't
so.
know.
Okay.
I know what they do here, so
All right, so are we tabling this one to
I'd like clarification.
clarification?
I'm with Andrea. I think, specifically, item C, it calls out, creating a student sports medicine program.
Okay. I will get
Design
clarification.
All right. We'll kick that can down the road then. Now, item E is the approval of the intergovernmental agreement with Ocala Regional Vocational System
Yeah, this is our CTE, our Career and Technical Education Co-op through the Regional Office of Education. They oversee a lot of the grants, and then we purchase things like the plasma cutter and welders and things for our construction tech. The recommendation here is that we do want to continue being part of OCAW. We recommend that you approve this agreement and understand that Brian Reeves, our Columbia High School principal, to be assigned as the board member, the representative for us on that board.
I make that motion.
Thank you, sir.
A motion on the floor by Scott to accept the approval of the agreement.
I'll second.
Lisa seconds. Roll call, please.
Craig Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp,
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Hempkin,
Yes.
Andrew Corey.
Yes.
We got something done. Look at that. All right, on F is the approval of our first reading of our board policy, press issues 111. So these things have been coming down the pike like crazy lately.
Yes, this is a first reading. You've got them in your packet. Please read through them. Mr. Middlecamp and Mr. Hemken are the two members on this committee. This will be a second reading. This will be business from this board. So this will be an action item at the special meeting prior to that. So you'll have to do the second reading before because any business that this board is considering.
I have a question and a consideration.
Okay?
Just on the officers, secretary, and Scott, you have been here the longest of this current board. Have we ever paid the secretary? I mean, it's always been a board member, correct?
Yeah.
Have we ever paid out?
No.
Okay, so my consideration, or asking for a consideration would
We
be.
actually pay a stipend to Ms. Johnson.
But listen, reading this secretary, this is the board secretary. Kim's the district secretary, and according to this, she's the recording secretary.
Okay.
So if you read the verbiage here, this is what,
Which policy is that?
what the
That is
secretary
the
does.
5
It's page 2, right
So
under
it's-
the secretary.
2-110.
I mean, the way I understand reading through these is, yes, Kim is our district secretary. She takes all the meetings minutes during the opens meetings. So she's considered the recording secretary for that, but secretary up here is what Karen Anderson was for all those years and what Tammy currently is.
Yeah,
And we never pay, I mean.
we can't pay board members.
So I was gonna
I mean,
ask if
that's not the
consideration of
way that works.
changing that verbiage of secretary to match what the treasurer says, where the board member can't be paid.
I will look into that one.
I mean,
That's
it
exactly.
starts- It starts with saying the secretary may receive reasonable compensation though, so it's not mandating.
No,
So
but,
it's
I
completely
mean,
an
but it
option.
says, however, if the secretary is board member, the compensation shall not exceed 500 per year, but why have that in there if we're never anticipating paying?
The soft words like may.
Yeah.
May, not
Yeah.
shall.
I mean, it's,
Well,
we're on solid ground either way, so.
yeah, but I think the reason it's in there is because it does say that it doesn't have to be a member of the board. So if, like when the new board convenes and everybody says, I'm not being secretary, we might have to bring somebody in to be
Okay,
secretary.
but then reword it like the treasurer stated down there below where we pay the person that's not a board member.
Doesn't it say that up there?
No.
Board elects the secretary for a 2-year term. Secretary may be but not required to be a board member.
Mm-hmm.
Secretary may receive additional compensation determined by the board before appointment. However, the secretary always is a board member. The compensation not exceed 500.
But down on the treasurer, it's a treasurer who is a board member may not be compensated. A treasurer who is not a board member may be compensated provided it's established before the appointment, which that's what we have with
Right.
our treasurer.
the committee
Okay.
is Adam and Mr. Middlecamp, and we're gonna need to also fill Mr. Middlecamp's position with that, but that'll be once we seat the new board. That said, this is a first reading. These are exactly the things that we're supposed to be bringing up and discussing. If you have any more of them, please alert either me, Mr. Middlecamp, or Mr. Hempkin. But I would recommend that you approve the first reading of the policies, and then we will pass the next one and get that clarification on that point.
And you are right there. It can be taken out without hiring a second person, so good catch, I never saw that. All right, would anybody like to approve the first reading of the Press Pass 111?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Adam. Do I hear a second? Please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Andrea. All right, roll call, please.
Scott Middlecamp,
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Humpkin,
Yes.
Andrea Corey, Greg Meyer.
Yes. All right, that is unanimous. I believe that takes care of our items for action. We're on to discussion items. We got the ongoing facility study.
We are, we've got a contract that we've sent to FGM. It's been reviewed by our legal counsel, and it has been reviewed by the facility committee and with our owner's rep, and it is in the FGM's hands, and we are looking into that. That's where we are right now with that. Would you like to add anything?
I just want to say that our legal representation on this has been really, really good. Barney's office, Eugene Hansen, has joined us, and he's pretty much a contract specialist, and he's really steered us in the right direction on some pitfalls and what he's seen in the past, and he loves our owner's rep idea and going forward. But I think we're in really good hands, and we made some really good improvements, and I think we're really gonna have a good agreement when we're all done. So,
Mr. Hempkin?
Adam?
No, I mean, just to echo what Greg said, it's probably the most involved and active attorney as far as just giving us advice, walking through every single letter, every single word of the documentation, making recommendations, just asking questions to get our intent, to help with crafting any language or proposed changes. So it's one of the most thorough, involved attorney experiences I've had, and I've had a lot of them in my career.
Yeah, that's saying something.
As far as contracts and attorneys. So, Eugene's doing a phenomenal job keeping us very well informed. Making sure that our intent is in writing and on paper, and I'm confident he will continue to do the same as we progress to the next phases. So, very, very pleased to date. But we are very much still in the preliminary stages, so we don't have any contracts out there or effective yet, but I am encouraged by the involvement so far to get good contracts in place.
I want to thank Adam for all his, he's been spending hours and hours and hours on this project and doing a great job, and great comments and feedback and everything. So we're very lucky to have him, and his newly retired self is find a way to keep him so busy. So thank you. All right. Individual board member comments?
I have one more comment about the FFA stuff. Attended the FFA banquet, but I wanted to remind anyone that's watching, I believe that the greenhouse sale is the beginning of May, I think the 7th, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. But would encourage people to go out and support that program. I know they put a ton of work into that greenhouse and all the plants that are, that come out of it. And I know that money is well used and utilized. That greenhouse has been a great addition to the program, and just encourage the community to support that. And I mean, I've bought plants from there, and they're very healthy, and many of them are the only ones still living at my place. So, if you can hold off on some of your spring purchases for another 2 weeks, I would definitely encourage going to that greenhouse. They have a wide variety of plants available. So.
Anyone else?
I wanted to, the Pencilers is Monday night. Is that at the high school again?
I believe so, yes.
At 7?
7:30.
7:30?
On the 24th, on the 24th.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then I also wanted to know, since we toured all of the schools for the safety stuff, has there been anything that came from any of that?
Yeah, we're getting quotes for the cameras at the front entrances. I'm going to walk the buildings with Kurt, Steve, and Trent Mahaffey to make sure that we get those installed where they need to be. The middle school, we're gonna see if we can find a new window that opens with more space. All the doors in this building have now been fixed and they are all operational. There were some that were sticking. The blinds are ordered,
We have someone coming tomorrow. Yeah,
Nice.
and so,
yeah, getting them going.
we are slowly chipping away on that list.
It was a
But
big list.
This
Big
summer,
list.
A lot
this
of
summer,
school.
we are going to have some procedural changes, where you will buzz to get into the foyer. And then, so you'll be stopped on more on the outside.
Did we ever fill the parent positions? Like, did any parents come forward to be on the committee?
I do have, yeah,
Because we'll also have to fill that spot as Tammy leaves.
yes.
I do have one other question, more than a comment. So the middle school roof,
Middle school
Project is
roof has
underway?
been progressing very, very well. They had to wait until the winter was over. I did not get a status report on the roof. I got one last week and everything was going well. We were getting weekly reports. They're up there. They're doing the work and cutting it out and getting it covered, so I can get a status report on that for you.
Anything else?
oh, I have one more thing.
All right. This
On
is
the
3,
theme-
this is your limit.
On the theme of getting back to normal, things getting back to normal, I wanted to give a shout out to all the staff at all the schools. You know, all these spring activities that are happening, you know, these field trips you'll call and whatever. You know, all of that is just, I can't say how excited I am to have all those things coming back to the schools. The kids are excited. I think it's healthy, it's good for them to see that there are rewards. You know, there are plans in place for those that are doing well, to be able to participate. So I just wanted to thank all the staff and everybody that helps put those on, as far as just the coordination and making them happen. I know there's some snags with even things like Six Flags changes some of their policies, so it makes it more challenging for the band, but still trying to find ways, and I do appreciate those extra efforts because it means a lot to the kids, and I think it's great for our district, so.
I agree. Anyone else? Anything?
You said
I'm just
I'm
kidding.
at my quota.
I was gonna let you go one more. So. All right. Board President prerogative, actually, I was gonna echo exactly what Adam was saying, is, you know, just sitting at these meetings and hearing the building reports and the shout outs, and it just really makes me proud of the district and the staff, and everything comes together. I mean, we just have a first-class district, and I'm just very proud of all the hard work that you all do, so thank you very much. So, we do have an executive session, and I'd make a motion to enter an executive session for the purposes of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee of a public body or legal counsel to the for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. 5 ILCS 120/2C1. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tyson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Schumacher?
Yes.
Tyson
Search.
Yes.
Adam Hempkin.
Yes.
Andrea Corey.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes.
Scott Middleton.
Aye.
All right, we are going into executive session now. There's no action items as a result, so you're all welcome to come back and watch us adjourn if you like, but we understand if you don't, so thank you all very much. All right, welcome back. We just concluded our executive session. There's no action items as a result of that. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
That was quick. Thank you, Scott. Any second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tyson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. That concludes our meeting. Thank you for joining us.